So I'll give a quick, heads up about who these millennials are. We're talking a lot about millennials. Who are they? They are the ones who were born between 1980 and 1995. They grew up more sheltered than any other generation kids. So it is believed that most of the millennials are the children of working Gen X couples. They had access to almost everything, not a silver spoon, but everything just about the basic needs, everything. They had access to technology right from their childhood. Do you remember those flip-flop phones? Almost every kid had those phones. They had computers at home. So they were the makers of digital communication, virtualization. And this is the generation who is going to be the largest workforce in coming years. It is believed that, like you see the stats there, about 64% of the working population by 2021 will be between the age group of 20 and 25. And Abraham already mentioned why it's very, very important that we understand the need of the hour. So on that note, I would like to show a small video clipping where we have tried and captured some views and opinions of different generations on the same questions we posed. Yes.
Cooking or stitching, anything.
Listening to music.
Watching TV, playing badminton.
Watching football.
At the moment, Instagram.
Watching movies, catching up with friends.
Playing with the kid, studying with the kid.
Watching movies. Watching movies.
Watching TV.
Be friendly with everybody.
Life to me is what you live, how you live, and what you do for the others.
Do the best you can. Don't worry about the results, but be focused and do the best you can.
Live life to the fullest.
Fun, friends, and travel.
Be happy.
Simple living, happy.
Never giving up.
I like to meet someday.
Preferably face to face, even if it's rare.
One-on-one.
Skype, FaceTime, calls.
In person.
Either on WhatsApp or personal meetings. It's always a phone call. I love to meet them, but nowadays it's more on WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Like to talk face to face instead of WhatsApp or anything.
For a span of 30 plus years, I've changed only 2 jobs. The third was a permanent one.
15 years.
20 years, 4 jobs.
One job in a last decade.
I have changed 2 jobs.
4 years.
It's my 5th company in 10 years.
10 and 14 years. Right? 15 years.
I have a total of 10 years of experience and I have changed 4 jobs.
That was a small glimpse. So what did we see? Family, friends, and personal interest. These are something which is common across all generations, but yet there is some difference. There is some difference. Why are these differences? That is what we're going to unplug here. We're having a very fantastic panel today. I'm pleased to welcome on stage Anisha Singh from Thomson Reuters, Head of Talent and Development Global Operations Center. Mandira Kumar, Senior Director, Global Sales and Marketing Operations, Semantic Corporation. Sheetal Rangaswamy, the Manager, Business Performance at Epsilon. And a very special welcome to the only man on the panel, Sriram Bhakte, Senior Software Engineer, Capgemini. So today we have 2 teams, Gen X and Millennials, debating on some of the topics we have identified as the key items we should see why the difference is all about. Actually, debating is not nearly the right word. The purpose here is to try and understand each other's perspective, what we can leverage from each other. So on that note, I would like to welcome Ramya, who is right here, and she will be moderating the session going forward. Thank you so much.
Hi, good morning all. I was just wondering how and where to set the context in addition to what she was already mentioned. And now we are, I think, conveniently aware of what we want to discuss. And on that note, I just want to start off with a thought. They say change is inevitable. Change is always going to happen. But how do we really interpret this change? Do we have to consider change in its literal sense to say move from job A to B every few months because I'm going to get better perks, titles? Or do we view it at a much deeper level to say change can be within ourselves, it could be within the workplace? So is change going to be just an act or a philosophy? That's one view. The other view is, look, there are a lot of opportunities and I'm talented and I'm getting good offers. If I have to make a course correction today, now, and I'm getting an opportunity, why not? So these are two different views. Are we right? Are we wrong? We'll never know. But then, I think it really helps to understand views of each generation. And this is going to be our first topic, which stays, Rolling Stones Gather No Moss. And to start, we have Anisha, a non-millennial, to start off with her views, and Sriram to give his thoughts from his generation. Anisha, over to you.
Thanks, Ramya. So first, I just want to understand the demographics a little bit here. I'm not seeing too many men at all. So is it like, what does it mean? Does it mean it's difficult for men to wake up early in the morning? Women are like, I can only see women, truly. So making a mental note of that. To this entire topic about Rolling Stones gather no dust or no moss, I think I want to begin by acknowledging a few things. Right now, when I look at Thomson Reuters, 85% of our workforce, at least in all of the global operation centers, which are in the emerging markets, it's millennial, right? So the acknowledgement here is they are driving the organizations forward. There is no two way about that piece, right? The other acknowledgement I want to make is, again, I'm going to do this through questions. How many of us in this room like to be happy versus be sad? How many of us in this room have challenges in our professional lives? How many of us have challenges in our personal lives? Yeah? How many of us like to be loved? How many of us want to give love? Yeah? And I'm just going to assume that if there were more men in the room, they would also pretty much put their hands up, right? So I think the acknowledgement I'm making is that at a human level, at the level of the human construct, we're all similar. We may be born in 1960 or 1980 or 2010 or whatever that might be. I think as a human, we're all similar. We all want to be happy. We all crave for recognition. We all have challenges which we like to overcome. We all, when we turn up to work, we want to do a great job. And it's the same regardless of what generation we belong to. It's just that the times are changing. The way we do work may have become a bit different, right? Most of us in the room probably use WhatsApp. I used to use email a lot. Even email has become redundant, right? So methods of doing work changes. But at a human level, I think we're all still similar. So that's the first acknowledgement. Now, from an organizational perspective, I think that when we are part of a larger ecosystem, and now coming to, Ramya, your point about, the Rolling Stone, when we're part of a larger ecosystem, I think the expectation is for us to deliver on a few opportunities, right? We all do that day in and day out. We work to accomplish goals, to deliver for the good of our company. And the point there is, again, you may call me a non-millennial or whatever, but I think I truly believe it's important to keep rolling. So moving forward is important. If I don't do that, I'm not exposing myself to new experiences, new challenges, and therefore I'm not learning as much as I could through my career, right? So rolling forward is important. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. But what does also become important is, am I spending enough time in a particular role? Folks who might be in the consulting industry, they might know this. There's enough and more research work to suggest that for us to understand an organization, the ecosystem, what works, what doesn't work, we need about 10 to 12 months to understand an organization, right? And unless I really understand the organization, I don't think I will be able to contribute back. So the point is, as part of a larger ecosystem in the workplace, probably there is value in spending time in understanding, and then think about how I'm contributing back. So that's what I would say in terms of perhaps what we need is a bit of a balance, roll forward, but to think about our good as well as the good of the organization, and to make sure we're contributing back before we roll forward to the next role. Sorry, I think that was a slightly longish start.
No, I think it was
promise I'll be shorter going
No,
forward.
I think it's a great start. And even before we proceed with the opinions, Sriram, why don't you let us know what you think about this?
So firstly, I agree completely with Anisha on whatever she said. On a human level, I think we all are the same. We crave for the same things. We look for the same things in a job or in our personal lives. Apart from that, I think there's one basic thing that separates us from the Gen X. One of the thing is exposure. I think we seek for more exposure these days. It can be in the terms of technology or leading a role in an organization. I think basically because the technology is changing so rapidly, the simplest of things and the more repetitive things are getting automated by the second. So unless we are exposed to different kind of technologies or different kinds of roles to lead in an organization, we won't be able to grow into something enough to contribute sufficiently to an organization. So it's not just a personal goal that, okay, now I need to learn this technology to get a job in an organization. It has become a two-way thing. So how can I better myself so that I can make myself effective for an organization? It comes in various forms. Like these days, it's not all about making your resume or a CV, because your two-page CV has been turned into your LinkedIn profile. And the thing what my manager did on the first day was, okay, Sriram, you're there on Facebook? I'm like, yeah. He's like, tell me your name. I'm like, Sriram Vagde. He looks me up on Facebook. And he's like, he looks at me and he's like, okay, so you do yoga? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, yeah, this is a simple way to know the people, because these days your life is there on Facebook. So I think we like to better ourselves by knowing more things. And that's why we switch roles that frequently, so that we can know more, so that we can contribute more to a bigger cause and to a better cause. So I think that's about the version of the millennial.
I was actually expecting a heated debate, and you were tearing each other's hair, and you're like, we are better, and I think. But interestingly, when we hear this, I think what comes out is, at some level, we believe that the values will always remain across generations. I think it's the mode of expressing ourselves that's going to change. But what is important and will hold good are our value system. So interestingly, when Sriram said his boss asked him about his Facebook profile, I'm just quickly reminded of an instance. So I had to register, give my email ID somewhere in one of the public places where I had gone, and I gave my Yahoo ID. I think they probably guessed my generation with just the ID. I'm like, my parents would have probably given a BSNL. I gave a Yahoo. Probably my next generation is a Gmail, and then probably email. That'll probably be it, right? So I think the important points, a quick takeaway, I think, of this first topic is this, like Anisha mentioned, the whole room is filled with women. Maybe the men are, I don't know, I wouldn't want to comment that. But I think this itself is a big change of this generation. A few years ago, in a panel like this, we wouldn't have been able to see a large population of women, which again is a huge welcome change. But then, in our internal arguments, I think a huge credit for this goes to our own parents, who were able to push their daughters and go forward to participate. So what the point that I'm trying, I think we should probably understand is, it's a change that happens gradually. And across generations, there'll always be a change. And quickly moving on to another related topic. So the other question, I think, what they say is, a view that exists is, I have done this for a while, I want to explore more. Maybe it's something related or not related to the current work I'm doing. I just want to explore. Maybe there's something else that's going to keep me more happier. And importantly, my friend in the next company has a better workplace and he's having a cool life, right? So that's a lot of peer pressure. But then, can just moving jobs again, can we build that expertise? Knowledge is great to start with, but I think over a period of time, it has to evolve into wisdom for us to get deeper in what we do today, right? And without adding any further to this point, to just leave it at that thought, we'll move on to the next topic, which says Rome was not built in a day. And for this, we'll start with a millennial Sheetal, and followed by that, we'll have Mandira give her thoughts from her generation. Sheetal, over to you.
Thanks, Ramya. So, it is a fast-changing world, isn't it? Like Sriram mentioned, there is a new technology that's coming up every couple of months. How many of us here keep changing mobile phones every couple of years? Isn't it? Now, as a user, I want the latest gadget in a short span of time. It's but natural for me to expect something similar in my professional scenario as well. Change in professional is often equated to growth. Now, is growth always vertical? Not to me. Growth to me is about the kind of exposure I'm getting in my current role. It's the scope of projects that I'm involved in. That's what matters to me. So when we're talking about growth, there was a comment by Mr. Abraham earlier about the time frame and how Tesco's changed that, right? So if one has the capability, then why is time frame a constraint? I could be in a role for 6 months, for 12 months, 18 months. If there is the ability to take on higher responsibilities, then I think that opportunity should be given to the individual. By adding these limitations, there is a risk of losing out good talent. I'd like to talk about my own experience here. In my previous organization, I was with the organization for a decade. I'm a millennial, and I stayed there for a decade. Why? Because I absolutely loved it. Pretty much every 18 to 24 months, I was doing something different. Was it always vertical? Was it always promotion? No. I moved in all directions within the organization. And I enjoyed it. I felt engaged. There was learning every day that came my way. And that is what kept me going. Success is traditionally defined with, promotion, or is associated with the grade of the title. But today, success is more about the opportunity to have an influence within the organization, the impact that you're making in your team or in the larger group, the involvement you have within your business, that's what success is today. And today, a job is no longer a 9-to-5 thing. It's more of an experience. And as a millennial, I think we seek to make most of that experience. That's my view. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, Mandira, over to you.
So, Ramya, you're going to be disappointed because, again, I'm going to agree with a lot of what Sheetal said, even though I am the wrong. So I'd like to offer, I think that there's adjustments to be made on both sides. I would like to offer up some advice, if you will, or some thoughts in terms of what kind of adjustments I think needs to happen on both sides. So on the side of the millennial workforce, I think that there's two things that need to maybe be thought about a little bit more. The first one is I would love for people to stop obsessing about titles and designations and promotions. So I would really like for people to see their careers as a series of experiences. As Sheetal said, again, this is not about the designation in another company or, a promotion or more money. You must view your career long-term as a set of experiences. And what happens when you do that is automatically you build leadership skills, not just management skills, you're building leadership skills. So when you go and seek new experiences, and you can do this within your current job, you don't have to leave your job to get involved in a stretch project or to get involved in a global deployment or to get involved in something that has nothing to do with your normal job. You'll learn leadership skills, and workforce is competitive. Everyone wants to get ahead. It's not just you. You need to stand out. So you're going to build decision-making skills. You're going to build judgment. You're going to build networks, which is really important. And you're going to be able to, when you seek out new opportunities, automatically you make mistakes and you learn from those mistakes. So that is really important for you to forget the designation, forget chasing the promotion, really chase out the skills and chase out the experiences and chase out new experiences. The second thing that I would encourage our millennial workforce, or really anyone in the workforce, to do, and again, Sheetal, you talked about this, you need to not only look at your career as a vertical path, it needs to be horizontal. While there's some good examples of people that have built careers vertically, I think there's many other good examples of iconic leaders that have gone, this way. You kind of move laterally, then up, and then this way, and then up, and it's a bit of a maze. And I think that that's a much better way to build a career path. Again, let me give you a fact. In 10 years from now, 60% of the jobs that exist today will not exist then. So especially in the tech field, you're not going to be able to predict what a hot skill is 10 years from now. So how do you in the workforce combat this? You keep an open mind. You make sure that you are not just trying to grow up within this technology, but you're looking for other technologies. And if you do all of this, what will happen is that promotions and designations, they will become not the goal, they'll become the outcome of this kind of behavior. They will come, but it's something that you're not chasing. And you'll also find that instead of banging that one door down for that one promotion, 3 other doors will open because you've now stretched yourself. So that's really something that you need to think about. Quickly, I know I'm probably out of time, but I would be remiss to make this about, millennials need to change and leadership, Gen X is all great. There is fundamental changes that need to be made on the side of leadership as well and management in companies. And when Abraham spoke about years of experience, I wanted to stand up and cheer because that's one of the 2 things that I think, talent organizations need to do away with. The same way that I'm saying millennials need to stop obsessing about designations, my generation needs to stop obsessing about years of experience. Too often I've seen a resume shut and put away because this person doesn't have required years of experience. So again, we need to look at individuals through the lens of experiences, not years of experience, and capabilities. The second thing is that it's actually harder work for managers to go seek out these stretch assignments. It's actually harder work for you to use your network and to make sure that you are finding leadership opportunities for your people, but you must do that. So while it's difficult and it requires change in leadership, the payoff is that you will have highly motivated, highly productive, innovative, and loyal teams. So I think that it's worth making the adjustment on both sides.
I'm sure you'll all agree, another round of very interesting perspective. Again, another surprise. So we saw another commonality between the 2 generations, right? Their view of career is very similar. And both of them do talk about growth and expansion. While Sheetal mentioned that growth does not have to be vertical, but it can be horizontal as well. Mandira agrees that a few of the technologies or the skills that we have developed might become irrelevant in the next few years, which means we have to grow. You'll have to expand. I thought it was a beautiful, confluence of thoughts, and we can take it either way. So what does, diversity or diversifying skills really mean? Is it again just jumping? Or do you have to stay invested in some for at least a critical period of time to gain specialization, to gain the wisdom? And at this point, I'm just reminded of a quote. The tallest oak tree in a forest once started out as a small nut that decided to ground its roots, right? A mix, I think what you're alluding to is that a mix of this is always important. There's always two thoughts of view. And to continue on the same note, let's move on to another interesting thought. So when I was just going through some of the titles that have existed over a period of time, right? So probably the baby boomers and the traditionalists, post-war, it was like general, army, commander, and all that. And then the corporate moved on to presidents, vice presidents, AGMs. And interesting, I came across a few titles that said the receptionist is called the director of interaction, right? And then a graphic designer is called the crayon evangelist. A guy who predicts trends is called the digital prophet. So apart from having just real cool titles, what does it really signify? That organizations also are putting that effort to make workplace inclusive for all generations, to make it very cozy. All of us are having very long hours at work, which means the age-old traditional organizational philosophy, they are also undergoing a change and trying to accommodate and make it more congenial for the workforce to come and work. Does that mean that we just give up the organizational philosophy that we've built across so many decades? Can all companies just be like cool places to work? Do we shed all the organizational policies? While that's one thought, the digital savvy millennials, they are like on all possible social media, which means, like again Abraham said, the feedback is instant. The communication is super fast. And it is this thought that we all bring to the office as well, where we want the communication to be much more faster. The generation wants to be involved. They have to be engaged all the time, right? And so we move on to the next topic, which is keeping me engaged. And for this, we'll go with Sheetal first again, and then we'll want Anisha on her thoughts. Sheetal?
Thanks, Ramya. Before I get on answering to Ramya's point, I'd like to talk a bit about the perception that is there regarding millennials. Unfortunately, millennials are perceived to be this privileged, this indulgent generation. There have been quotes which is called millennials to be spoiled, lazy, having too many choices, short span of attention. Even the Times magazine called us the me generation. Makes us sound so self-centered. Is that true? I don't think so. It's not about being entitled. It's about having the information. It's about having the willingness to take calculated risks. So now coming to Ramya's point on what makes us engaged in an organization, like she rightly pointed out, it's the feedback, the transparent and continuous communication from our managers. There's a recent Harvard Business study that says 42% of millennials said that they would like to have feedback every week. And this is 2 times more than what any other generation has ever asked for. That's the level of interaction that we need from our managers, our management, our executives. The other thing I would think is more engaging is technology, of course. You know, Sriram mentioned about his experience of his manager asking his Facebook page. So today, companies are evaluating candidates based on their Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram profiles. So technology is the core of things. I would expect to be able to use social networks, video on demand, instant messaging, to be able to collaborate with my colleagues across the organization. I need things to be available hands-on. And with technology goes innovation. Having an environment that fosters innovation and enables experimentation gives the liberty for individuals to think creatively. And that creativity makes an individual to be able to go beyond their traditional scope of responsibilities and to be able to deliver above that role. What else? Of course, there's always the big picture, right? We've heard a lot about this word, big picture. What does it mean? It means that as an individual, and I think this goes to any generation, not just millennials, right? I would want to know how the work that I am doing is contributing to the overall business. Be it the code that I'm writing today, a report that I'm generating today, pulling out today. How is this adding value to the organization? What is the revenue impact? What does the customer feel about it? Tell me that. Talk to me about it. That will help me make my job do much better. And finally, I think I would also like to bring out the experience of our earlier generations, right? Just a small observation as I walked into this room this morning. Anisha and Mandira were chit-chatting happily, very casual, and Sriram and I with our books, with our notes that we've been preparing from the last couple of months. We're so anxious. That's experience, right? Generation today, we do value the experience that comes from our older generations, and we would like to learn from it. So we see great value in senior managers mentoring us. There's a lot of mutual benefit that can be gained from either of the generations here. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheetal. Anisha?
Yeah, this was the one. Sheetal, you stole away my thunder. And you're also, yeah, she does that. Very bad habit. And you actually stole a few words from my mouth. I was going to say exactly that, to your earlier point about, there might be a perception that millennials are frivolous or they're perceived as a bit selfish, etc. I just wanted to say first up that, so far as I'm concerned, absolutely not. And I was going to say that, the two of you, I've been watching you, take copious notes, go over your notes, etc. And the two of us, on the other hand, we're just having chai, biscuit, all of that since the morning. Way much more wise in that sense. But honestly, I feel a bit ashamed. I feel like, there's still so much to learn. You guys you have the passion. You guys took the effort to prepare, to look up, I'm sure, multiple resources on your mobiles. You opened up multiple apps, got information, data, metrics, which is fantastic. And the same holds true for my team, which, by the way, 75% of the team is millennial. And I absolutely love the energy they bring on the table, the creativity. Your point, Sheetal, about feedback, they come and tell me, Anisha, we need more feedback. What's going well, what's not going well. We want to learn from your experience. And those are things to really value, right? Just on the piece of feedback, it's not easy to give feedback to somebody, performance feedback. You did this well, and these are areas of opportunities. It's not easy to do that, right? And when a youngster comes to you and says, I want feedback, how am I doing? How can I do better? It's phenomenal. It's very liberating. It makes life very easy for me as well, right? So these are things I love and appreciate and really acknowledge about millennials. Having said that, I do want to touch upon one other area in which relates to Ramya's point about engagement. I do see oftentimes some of the younger members in the organization, they have a lot of information and they think that they have a good opportunity in some other organization, they make those changes. Sometimes they may make the change pretty quickly. But then, within 6 months or a year or so, I've seen them start to agitate. I've seen them feel not so comfortable with the culture of that other organization, with the pace, or whatever it is. There are several reasons for them to be not happy with the quick jumps that they are making. So I think there's a bit that we should acknowledge in that aspect as well. And I want to use my personal example. As I've moved through the career, there's only one thing that's kept me engaged and that I've gone by, and that's been my own personal likes and dislikes. Right? So I started working about 16 years ago. And at that time, I didn't even know what is this HR function and what is people organization and all. The only thing I knew is that it's to do with people. And I love interacting with people. I love understanding likes and dislikes and motivators and, challenges that people face. So I said, okay, in the HR department, I'll get to work with people, or my work will be about people. So let me sign up for it. So that's the only reason I took up a job in HR. The other reason was I am a bit of an adventure enthusiast. I love traveling. So I took up an HR consulting job because as a consulting, I would get to travel. I got to work with different industries, different clients, different segments of people, and I love that idea, being an adventure seeker. So those are the reasons I took it. And till date, trust me, those are the things that keep me going. And till date, every role that I've done in whichever organization, it's because it allows me to be adventurous and it allows me to work with people. So the point I'm trying to make is, if we want to be engaged with the organization, it's also lesser about, what is the role, what is the career path, how quickly I can rise up, what kind of promotions I can get, but it's more to do with, am I being true to myself? Right? Is the role allowing me to be the person that I, at the end of the day, want to be? And that's worked for me. So it's an offering for you to also think about that at the end of the day.
I'm confused and happy. So here I was thinking that we are going to have completely different views about each generation, and we see one generation respecting the other and also agreeing on most of it. But I'm happy that if this is the real view across, and if this is the view that the audience is going to go out today, taking it back with them, then I think it's been a success.